Your No Limit Sports Podcast, Sports Plug 757, WTKR News 3. And guys, we are getting into the season that we all love the most. High school football is upon us. Practices kick off this week. Games are less than a month away. So much excitement right now.
Absolutely. Just to go in myself, I'm really excited about it. Even though it feels like we just got off and covered.
Yeah, summer.
Sports,
What summer, right?
Just one summer. Basketball ended, and it was exciting there, and just getting right back into it. 7-on-7 becoming a bigger thing. We just got off of Thump camps as well. They just took that break off, coming back and just getting a little bit of contact, and now they are going into tour days and those intense practices. This is where you're going to start to see a lot of things shape up.
Yep.
A lot of the predictions and lists and rankings and all that stuff like that start to they start to pan out. They start to it's an even playing field. Mm-hmm. But as they start to prepare for this season and things like that, as you asked earlier offline, we'll go to these camps and start to build some rapport, have a few things to look forward to, and know what we're getting ourselves into as we go to each and every stadium on Friday night. So it's going to be really exciting.
A lot to keep our eyes on, a lot to follow, a lot to track. Key, what are your thoughts? High school football about to start, man.
Oh man, there's no such thing as the off season. As soon as the season over, you go straight to who's transferring, who's going where, what coach is retiring, what coach is leaving to go where. After that, and then it's 7-on-7 season. I love the off season. Everyone's undefeated. Everybody's talking. Everybody's getting slept on. Everybody's going after the big dogs. Because no one put pads on yet, so you can do. They do that. I'm not saying you can't do that, but they do that. Now Maury suck. Oscar Smith suck. He was like everybody's not all of a sudden everybody's not good. So that's the favorite part. Now Tab can beat Maury, stuff like that. It's just random. The predictions are funny though. The off season predictions are definitely funny, and I love it. I love it. Scrimmage season's coming up. Tour day starting tomorrow. We're going to be outside for sure. Just ready to get back out there. We was at the Lansdowne Thump camp. Mm-hmm. It was nice out there. It was fun. It was good to see new faces. Kids that were playing youth football. Coming up in high school, seeing a couple of those kids out there. So just seeing new faces and see what the hype is about early. Yeah, so I'm excited, for it to be back here.
The sun rising on a new season. You guys talked about Phoebus, Maury, and Oscar Smith. Are they going to repeat? What team will come and surprise us, and be that team that's out of nowhere? I want to know what we're all looking at here as we get into the season. What topics jump out to you guys as the things that you're watching? It doesn't have to be your main one, just something that something you have your eye on going into 2025 here.
Absolutely.
Shoot, mine is the just the teams that are young, the new faces, like at Phoebus and at Warwick and schools like that. Green Run, who's the quarterback, who's next up. Just ready to see who that next superstar is. For some reason, this season feels like a big reset. Tori Newkirk is gone. Kason is gone. I just want to know who's the number one, the new faces, like who's going to pop up, outside of the 2026 and 2027. Quarterbacks that we know, of course, are good. So I'm just ready to see new. I really don't know too much going into this season other than Oscar Smith, Phoebus, and Maury, and outside of them and maybe Hampton and some schools like that. I'm just ready to see who's going to be good because this season feels a lot different.
Mm-hmm. And it's really exciting just to add on to that. He took right out of my mouth, honestly, with the way that I guess things are starting to pan out for the off season. A lot of teams like your Phoebus, Maury, and Oscar Smith, those are those top of the line teams now, right? So you got a lot of teams that are working very, very hard to be in competition with them in order to take that spot, as well as they are, working very diligently to replace a lot of the kids that they lost over, last graduation period and whatnot. But they do really well at that, and as well as them being young, they've always had young freshmen, young guys. Each one of these teams are really good at developing guys and keeping guys that they have on their team, keep them around, and they do really well inside the system. So, for me, it's really to see that those underdog teams, like we spoke offline earlier, we got some people with high predictions and high hopes for, Kickintan, Tab, and War Hill, different teams like these. So, just to see those things, possibly come to fruition, that underdog story probably taking place. It's always exciting to see that have, become a possibility. Then again, on the other side, you got your, top of the line guys who are going to be working hard to make sure that that, hey, we've been here for
still
a while.
here. Yeah.
we're going to still be here for a while, if that makes sense. So it's just really exciting. It's exciting to see those two storylines clash, and ultimately one of them has to to get the upper hand. But it's all about the story and the build up. And a lot of these guys are young, so this might just be the stepping stone for some of these teams for years to come. So again, when I answer that question, it's also about what the end result is here this season. But man, I mean, me and my brother talk a lot. We always talking in like a 3-year, 5-year span here,
right?
And it's just always cool to see how that pans out over that time frame.
Well, I liked what Keith said about who's next. I think that's a really cool part of it because you have so many of these teams in this area that they reload, they don't rebuild.
Yes,
and I think that's pretty cool to see what they're going to do. And will there be that team that maybe needs to rebuild a little bit this season? Will we be surprised a little bit about a drop off, or maybe or like I said, the team that comes up? So I'm very curious, and I'm kind of curious to see how some of these new coaches at some of these schools, how can they impact their programs in year one? Talk about Grafton, right? Corey Hairston is there now from Warwick, right? Who did amazing at Warwick, right? Warwick was winless in 2013. He came in, leads them to 7 straight winning seasons, 33-6 in the last 3 years, and they go to the state semifinals in one of the years. So there's a guy. Can he turn around Grafton, a program that's had 9 different head coaches since 2016, the 2017 season, I believe. 9 different ones. Now, the circumstances surrounding their departure, I know they had 2 co-head coaches one year or the last couple of years, so there's that too. But Corey Hairston coming in, how's he going to take that from Warwick and apply it to Grafton up there in Bay Rivers? I like the Glenwood Farabee story at Tallwood, right? Here's a guy that has done nothing but win anywhere he's been, right? Lakeland turned them around for his first head coaching job. Indian River, 47-16 over 5 years. That's just over 3 losses per season. Won a Southeastern District title with them. Goes down to North Carolina, wins 2 state titles. Goes to Virginia Tech. Is their director of high school relations. Now he's back in the area. What can he do with Tallwood? I think that's a really cool story, right? And then you got some other guys. You got Mike Beal, who was a former player here, leading Grassfield. Casey Turner at Princess Anne. Gloucester, obviously their first year in the Bay Rivers. How are they going to do up there out of the peninsula? So there's just so many exciting storylines, and I'm just really curious to see how some of these new coaches, stack up here in their new positions.
Honestly, I think, like you said, with Tallwood and Grafton, they do have like really good coaches. I love Corey. He's been really nice to us. Since I started Sports Plug. He's always been there, like always wanted us around, just for the journey. For the process. They call themselves TTP at work when he was there. So he wanted us there from the beginning of the process. So we followed him through all his years. And, watched him grow. From I actually followed him the first year. Like I went to the War Hill game. He lost in the playoffs. Yeah, that was a really good War Hill team. I followed them that first year, and it was a really good season. When they played War Hill, it was a good game. It was raining. It was really, really cold. Like, it was really, really cold. And the game was good. I mean,
before you know it, buddy, we're going to be back out there, right?
Yes. And I think Tallwood and Grafton's in the same situation. I mean, they had decent coaches in the past, in the last couple of years, but it hasn't been at the elite level. And I think that's all they were missing. Both of those schools had the talent. They've both been flirting with the top of the standings for the last couple of years. I think last year or the year before that, Tallwood was almost up there.
2023, they had a pretty good season. You're right. That's the last time they made the playoffs.
Yes, and they were beating really good teams too that year. I think they beat Kempsville that year, and
Cox too, I believe. I think they beat Cox.
They were beating good teams that year, and also in I think Grafton. What was this? 2 years ago? Yeah, same year.
Yep.
Grafton, same year.
Yep.
They was flirting with the top of the standings up there with Poquoson and War Hill and Lafayette. So I think with the elite coaching, these 2 teams definitely about to rise to the top quick.
Tallwood's interesting to me too because can they crack, as you were talking about, Key? Can they crack that top tier of the beat? Right, you have Green Run, Cox, Kempsville. We've talked about. Yes. Can they crack and get up there into there? Now, we talked about the uncertainty and the unknown of these teams and a new coach and new style and everything like that. So how's that going to look? But can Tallwood kind of crack that top tier of the Beach District?
Well, I mean, it's really about what we see as the result. a lot of these teams have new coaches coming in, and this inherited patterns of things, of whether it's them getting close in semifinals or it's that team early on in the regular season and playoffs that they just can't get over the hump for. Like you said, Cox, Green Run, and Tallwood.
Salem. I left out Salem.
Salem.
Sorry.
Right? Salem. It's a trending thing right now, right? And whether it's the teams that we just talked about previously that are at the top, or just those teams who always stick around and make sure that they upset something, right? That's a win. And so while you got some teams that are looking to be, just 500 over, or some teams to just make it in a certain part of the postseason, and some teams that want to make it to the championship and or win, whatever that looks like for them. I think that these coaches that you're listening out right here are going to be able to provide that type of mission for those teams. These are culture building
Culture's a great word.
Culture building coaches. So that thing that Harrison did, it wasn't just the thing. He built culture at Warwick, and that culture was able to help him not only build these kids up and develop them, but what's really important, especially in this day and age, is retaining them. Mm-hmm. So we're able to retain those kids, being able to have those kids at Grafton that's just trust the process, right? TTP, yeah. Shout out, coach, right? I think he'll be able to really make those things happen. I mean, it's new things everywhere, right? Our ex-Hayfield coach now newly over at St. James, and a couple of players that came from around our parks right are now over there. So it's just that culture, and these guys get a chance to kind of reset this thing for the better, and hopes for the better, of course. And then, again, it's just really exciting to see how that coach, that new culture, this new area, these kids mash together. So for Tallwood, for Grafton, I think we can see an upside to that. I think those, they'd be really good at playing, favoring that top again, like you said. So.
We also have the guys who you mentioned who we know are going to be good, right? Lonnie and Travis over at Oscar Smith. And then you have the quarterbacks, Chapman at Hampton. You have Marikas at Phoebus. You have the guys who have proven themselves, who are going to be good. So I think that's a good place too, where we're going to see a bunch of stuff, and we're going to see a lot of games, right? Between the three of us, we're going to be on the sideline for countless games. The guy we all, everybody sitting at this table definitely gets their feet wet and is neck deep in high school football during the fall. And one of the cool things I think that we have are those experiences that we get to share. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this off camera a little bit, guys, and I'm curious what the craziest or most memorable high school football game that you remember attending in person might be. Key, let's start with you.
Okay.
You said you had one.
Yeah, my favorite game. I've been to a lot. Actually, I want to give you. You mind if I give you at least 2 or 3 before I give that number one?
Yeah. Right, so, we got. I love that Key has a list. He has a list.
True, and honorable mention. Be honest. Even though Smith got killed, it was St. John Bosco versus Oscar Smith.
Just kind of seeing them.
I love the environment. I love seeing the national team come here and play Oscar Smith. I mean, seeing their team busted St. John Bosco, and seeing both sidelines. I mean, both audiences stands filled, and they came from California, and their stands was they was shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah. And then they Oscar Smith.
Yes, Oscar Smith is Oscar Smith.
Yeah, right,
yes.
right.
And then just seeing their flags and just seeing a different type of football, and I think that was my first game of sports book.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
So, what a great time.
Yeah. So that was it was a really, really good game, and even just seeing the media, all types of media there from out of state, it was a really, really good game. And shoot, another one, number 2. I think that same year, Phoebus versus Hampton came down to the wire. It was really good. Hampton was 1 yard away from ending the streak. It was a really good game.
Wow.
Hampton, no one's been close other than Warwick, last year.
So was it a defensive stand, if I can ask a question about that game? Okay.
Yes, Kamari Gray knocked the quarterback Wofford out of bounds before he got there.
Wow.
So it was a really good game. It was raining. I felt the Hampton Phoebus rivalry for the first time in a very long time. So that's why that game was so memorable. It's my number 1 though is definitely 2023 Nasman River versus Kings Fort. That game was insane. The double overtime game. Gene kicked the field goal to win in overtime. But I just remember the reason it's my favorite out of all of them because me just walking in, just the Suffolk feeling, it was different. It really felt like a high school football movie when I walked in. I had Drew with me. I had all my sports book team was with me. It was a lot of us. So it was like a family reunion there.
That's so cool.
Just seeing other kids from other schools there. like at the game, the whole side was similar to the Oscar Smith game. Both sidelines and stands was packed. It's just the city feeling. So I'm sure everyone knew each other there, and it was like super crowded and like early too. The parking spots was pretty bad. It was deep. It was definitely deep, and just the game, like Kendrick Overton was a quarterback and Cam Butler was a quarterback, so they were both known already in this in the 757. So it was definitely a battle back and forth. And Tavion Douglas, he's there now. I think he's a senior. He went insane, and Javon Ford went insane also. And I think Douglas had like 2 touchdowns, and he caught a 2-point conversion to get them to overtime. And he went. That's when I discovered him like for the first time. And he went crazy.
Was that at Nansemond River?
That was at Kings Fork.
That was at Kings Fork.
Yeah,
okay.
That was at Kings Fork. Yeah, it was a really good game. But Kings Fork, it came out on top. It was that's my favorite game so far.
They've had a couple good ones because I remember there was one. I don't know if it was last year. It was at Nansemond River, I think, and I don't know if it was a Thursday night even. But Nansemond River got out to a pretty big lead, and then Kings Fork chipped away in the second. So what that's a cool Suffolk rivalry. I'm glad you brought that one up.
This year definitely going to top that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be the crowd size. I think everything is going to. Yeah, it's going to be even bigger this year.
One of the games of the year, I'm sure we all have circled, no doubt at all.
No doubt at all. Game of the year for sure. I'll be there.
Yeah, I think we all will. Absolutely. How about you, Drew? Anything pop into your mind?
I mean, mine are like older games. One that I definitely wanted to speak on just because, the atmosphere and me being from the Hampton area. I played a lot of my games at Darling. Even before COVID, after, we didn't see a lot of Darling being filled up.
Sure.
We didn't see a lot of that. The parking lot is packed out. The streets might be, full of cars and things like that. But it was good to see that when, Phoebus went against Oscar Smith. Jordan Bass was still at Phoebus. Asad Brown was still at. He was a corner at Oscar Smith as well. I think both 4 stars, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like the battle of the 4 stars. It was a lot. Asad Brown had a lot against him as far as like his height and things like that. But as far as him matching up against any type of opponent before going into that game, I mean, seamless. At the same time, Jordan Bass was a tough cookie to crack. He was definitely a great player at what he did. He got a lot of free space over the top, and that was very successful for Phoebus, as they had many other tools as well as number 7 running back Tyron Taylor. Tyron Taylor. I mean, they had some really great guys there as well as the opposing side. So I mean, just to see Oscar Smith and be able to cover them.
You mentioned a Phoebus guy. I'm like, wait, what state championship was that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And, just to piggyback off of the Phoebus thing. I mean, again, growing up in Hampton, I played at Hampton. We went against Phoebus. That was the biggest rivalry. I mean, that was the biggest thing. Especially when you didn't know too much about across the water if you wasn't going over there, things like that. So, a little bit of part of that, as we're talking about streaks, my senior year, we broke a streak. It was like a 5-year streak against Phoebus. We were down about 5 games. And I remember sitting in the stands, just coming up. I was playing JV. I think I was in 8th grade, maybe. And we was just about to go into high school. And it was like 2012, I think we watched this. It was a game, Hampton versus Phoebus. Really good game. Hampton had already lost like 30-something to maybe like 12 in the regular season, and then they got to play each other again in the playoffs, which was pretty big. I mean, you don't see that now a lot. So for them to match up against one another, it was a really, really even game from the running backs to the linebackers, from the quarterback play. It was all there. And I mean, being young watching, it's like, I can't wait to be a part of this. I can't wait to, see this thing happen. But, it came down to the wire. We had, on the Hampton side, we had Bo Lomax. I think Phoebus was up by 3 points. We could have took a field goal, 2 tied, take it on to the net overtime, and to see where we went from there. Deion Newsom was our quarterback, had a great game, scrambled. I mean, he had to have at least 80 plus to 100 yards just in there, a few completions. It was a tough game as he was being rushed by Boombox, Kevin Lyles, all games. I mean, these are guys, over some time now, 2012 we're talking about, but I mean, these were names to know around the area, and so we fell short by the incomplete pass. And actually, before the incomplete pass on the last chance, what, made me so mad was because Boombox that I brought up, the pressure just kept coming. Deion decided, let the ball go, and actually that defensive end Boombox went back for it had to be like a 60-yard pick six.
Oh, Boombox with the pick six.
Yeah, from the DN position. So
wow.
You understand how that is. The pressure is there, kind of letting the ball go. DN gets it, and I mean, he's off to the races, number 7.
Yeah, no one's between you. if you make a play like that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm just like, man, like you start to really build up not that hate for a team, but it's like, okay, I know where I'm going next year. I got to get a part of this. And they were so close, and I see so many games nowadays. It's just so hard to pick which game I love the most. A lot of them come close. A lot of them are even match games. A lot of them are up and down. But the ones that really stand out, I mean, those are the ones we cover the most. Those are the ones that the fans interact with the most. And now, me just remembering back on that, it's just so crazy how nowadays it's like when people want to remember these moments that's going on these days, it's so many ways that moment might have been captured, whether it was video, podcast, whether it was a still photo. It's just these memorable moments now are going to be documented so much better than they were back then. So I mean, now you ask me that 10 years from now, I'll probably just be able to show you.
Exactly. Here, take a look at at my video library.
Absolutely,
100%.
absolutely,
100%.
But it's awesome. It rewrites itself. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
But Mark, we answered it. What about you, man?
All right.
You got something.
I do. So you turned the clock back to 2012.
Yes,
I'm going to turn it back to 2004.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. It was my first year in the business. Think of me 20 years younger and 80 pounds lighter.
Oh, my goodness.
And up in Pennsylvania working, kind of where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And there was a school called Southern Columbia, which was just a powerhouse. They won 4 straight state championships. And they actually, we're doing a story on them because they actually had a player who died during preseason camp. He drowned. So they started every game, the first play on defense with 10 players on defense. They left his position open. Wow. So
that's awesome.
So and I think they still went undefeated. But it was a playoff game. It was a playoff game, and they were playing a school, St. Pius X. Mm-hmm. And they had a running back named Henry Hajnowski. The Polish Hammer was his nickname, which is fantastic. Hank the Tank. They also so Southern Columbia put on this rushing clinic. I think Hajnowski himself had over 700 yards on the ground. And it was crazy. I mean, I think they probably gained. Now my numbers could be way off here, but it was extraordinary. Or maybe the team gained 700 rushing yards and he gained over 5. I don't know. It was something crazy. Now the final score of the game was 76-49. I was there forever because they wouldn't stop scoring. And imagine scoring 49 points and losing. Right? In a playoff game. Yeah. So Hajnowski ended up going and playing he was a fullback for the Giants for a while, and he was actually pretty good. But yeah, that one sticks with me just because of the circumstances surrounding it, and just the amazing. The running. I mean, the dude got to the sideline and just took off. Wow. I mean, it was insane. So 76-49, 2004 PIAA state playoffs between St. Pius X and Southern Columbia. Southern Columbia went on to beat Camp Hill for the state championship that year. And man, that's just kind of that sticks with me.
I got, and that's a cool one. I got one more to throw in there as my honorable mention too, because it was a game that I was actually at, but I was a player here at this time. This was my senior year, and I would definitely want to give a shout out to my brother Daz Newsom.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. We had our homecoming game, and it's usually against Gloucester. We had a homecoming game against Gloucester, and I mean, while, people might not see the competition level as much, but the biggest thing about it is, like, when you can play a team like Gloucester, and then, but, like, you can kind of overdo it, too, if that makes sense. The end of that game was 76-0 or 76-6, and Daz had scored, if I'm not mistaken, 7 touchdowns.
Oh.
He was 1 touchdown behind Marshawn Williams, who has the record right now. And no, actually, we actually did a trivia, and I found out I'm actually have to look. You guys quote me on that one. There's actually somebody with 9 touchdowns in one game out of the state of Virginia. The name is slipping my mind right now. I'll be back to you guys on that one. Second place is Marshawn Williams out of Phoebus High
J.R.
School.
Tucker had a kid do something when I was in Richmond. That was the high school. But I don't remember what the kid's name was. It's blanking me. But he said it might have been 8. It might have been 9.
Or either him or somebody. I think Chantilly.
Okay.
Chantilly.
We'll check the VHSO record.
Yes,
book.
definitely.
Yeah.
There we go. We're gonna check that out as well. But Marshawn was number 2 at the time, and we didn't know about number 1. So
did he go to Tech? Did he end up going to Tech?
Ended up going to Virginia Tech. Yeah. So we didn't know about number 1. We were basing it off of that. So by the time we got to like number 5 or 4 without noticing, Coach, it was pretty easy. Coach Smith was just like, hey, let's try to do that. Let's try to do that inevitably. So we were really close. Made it to 7, and it was just like a show to see. Gloucester didn't just give it to him. I mean, each and every move, rep after rep, defense and offense. That's the type of player he was. And they seen that, like, from Travis Johnson now at these high levels. That was the type of player that Daz was at Hampton. So that was something really good to see in person. That's definitely something that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Honestly, never, that's the type of performance that you never forget.
Not at all. And what memorable performances will we see this fall? I'm really excited to dive into that with you guys coming up here throughout the season. We're going to start doing some fun Friday night stuff I know that we'll talk about, but college underway, NFL underway, high school about to be underway. We're going to have a lot to talk about here coming the fall. Guys, thanks a lot for coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We will hit you guys up next week. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the No Limit Sports Podcast with Sports Plug 757 and WTKR News 3. See you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.